Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Feeling restless? Troubled by the thoughts in your mind as you try to sleep? You're not alone. Millions of people around the world struggle to find peace in the quiet moments of the night. But there is something that can help, something timeless, something powerful. Let me share with you a verse from the Qur'an that can bring peace to your heart. Listen closely. It could change everything. Do you ever feel like your mind is racing when you try to sleep? Drop a comment if you've ever struggled to sleep due to anxiety, fear, or stress. Let's talk about it. In the midst of the Syrian conflict, Fatima, a mother of 3, faced sleepless nights. The constant fear of bombings, the loss of loved ones, and the uncertainty of the future weighed heavily on her. But one night, exhausted and unable to sleep, she remembered a piece of advice from her grandmother. When you can't find peace, turn to the words of Allah. She decided to recite a verse from the Qur'an. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Quran 94:6. Over time, these verses became her nightly solace. As she repeated them, her anxiety began to ease, and a sense of calm slowly filled her heart, helping her sleep more peacefully despite the chaos surrounding her. Before starting this video, don't forget to like this video because it gives us a lot of strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our next publications on the Islamic faith. Share it with your loved ones and leave a comment to tell me what you think. Thank you and good video. Before we dive into the verse, let's understand why sleep can sometimes feel impossible. Life can be overwhelming. Work stress, family issues, uncertainty about the future. Even though the world is asleep, your thoughts might still be loud. And for many, it's in these moments when fear, doubt, and anxiety take over. But the truth is, you're not alone. Throughout history, people have faced trials and found peace through faith. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you just couldn't find peace? How did you deal with it? Share your experiences. We're all here to support each other. Meet Sarah, a healthcare worker who spends her days saving lives in a busy emergency room. The pressure of constant decisions, long shifts, and the emotional toll of seeing life and death up close left her feeling drained and restless every night. No matter how physically exhausted she was, sleep often felt elusive. One evening, after another long shift, Sarah felt particularly overwhelmed. She remembered her grandmother's advice. When life becomes too heavy, turn to Allah. That night, she turned off the lights and recited a short prayer before bed, asking for peace. The next few nights, she added Quranic verses like, "And we have certainly created man, and we know what his soul whispers to him." Quran 50:16. Slowly, she began to notice a shift. The noise in her mind softened and sleep came easier. For Sarah, this spiritual practice became a refuge, a way to find peace in the chaos of her life. Quranic insight. In the Quran, Allah tells us in Surah Ar-Rahman 55:13, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ? So which of the favors of your Lord would you deny? It's a beautiful reminder that despite everything, the struggles, the sleepless nights, the burdens we carry, Allah's blessings are immense. Even in those dark moments, He is with us. His mercy is greater than all our fears. His blessings surround us in ways we often don't see. When we're lost in pain or confusion, it's important to pause and reflect on the countless blessings we still have. They are reminders of His love and mercy that, in their own way, bring us peace, even in the darkest of times. This verse is a reminder of Allah's mercy. What are some blessings you are grateful for, even in difficult times? Leave a comment below and let's reflect on Allah's favors together. The story of Prophet Jacob, and his son Yusuf, Joseph, is one of the most touching stories in the Quran. Prophet Yaqub endured an overwhelming trial, the disappearance of his son, Yusuf. For years, he did not know whether his beloved child was alive or dead, and this separation caused him unimaginable grief. His heart ached deeply. But despite his pain, he never lost faith in Allah's mercy. He trusted that, even in the most difficult moments, Allah's plan was greater than his pain. In Surah Yusuf 1286, Yaqub says, "I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah, and I know from Allah that which you do not know." Even in his sorrow, Yaqub found peace in the remembrance of Allah, trusting that relief would come in time. Eventually, Allah reunited him with his son, Yusuf, and in that moment, Yaqub's faith and trust were rewarded. This story is a powerful reminder that even when we are overwhelmed by grief or challenges, we can always turn to Allah. Just as Prophet Yaqub's faith brought him peace in his darkest hours, so too can our faith lead us to comfort and tranquility in our struggles. How the Quran brings peace to the heart. The Quran has a special way of calming the heart. One of the ways it does this is by connecting us with the divine through prayer and reflection. When we recite verses, especially before sleep, we are reminded of Allah's presence. The Quran is not just a book of guidance, but a source of comfort and peace. When our minds are filled with worries and anxieties, turning to the Quran allows us to quiet those thoughts and find solace. One verse that is especially powerful in bringing peace is Surah Al-Ikhlas 112. It is a short but profound chapter, reminding us of the oneness of Allah. Repeating this verse, say, "He is Allah, who is one, Allah, the eternal refuge," can calm the mind and soul. It reminds us that no matter what struggles we face, Allah is always with us, and He is enough for us. In times of stress or when sleep feels impossible, the simple act of reciting this verse can help us reconnect with Allah, allowing our minds to let go of the worries and fears that keep us awake. Surah Al-Ikhlas focuses on Allah's absolute unity, teaching us to trust in His singular and unparalleled power. When we recite it, we affirm that He alone controls everything in our lives, and by trusting in Him, we release ourselves from the burdens that weigh us down. This deep connection with the divine is incredibly soothing and brings a sense of tranquility that nothing else can match. Have you ever recited a verse before sleep that helped you feel peaceful? Share your favorite verse for finding peace and comfort at night. Real story. Meet Ahmed, a young professional who had been struggling with insomnia for months. No matter how tired he was, sleep seemed elusive. His mind raced with thoughts about work, family issues, and uncertainties about the future. Despite trying various methods to relax, nothing seemed to work. One night, after another sleepless evening, Ahmed remembered a piece of advice from his uncle. When you can't sleep, turn to Allah. Recite Surah Al-Fatiha. It has a way of soothing the heart. Though Ahmed had heard of the power of reciting Quranic verses before, he had never tried it regularly. That night, he decided to give it a go. He recited Surah Al-Fatiha, focusing on the meaning of the words. As he repeated the verse, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. It was as though his racing thoughts were slowly quieting down, replaced by the certainty that Allah was watching over him. He continued reciting the surah until he finally drifted off to sleep, peacefully for the first time in weeks. The next night, he repeated the practice, and again, he found peace. Over time, Ahmed made it a habit to recite Surah Al-Fatiha before sleep. It became his way of reconnecting with Allah, of seeking His comfort and presence in the stillness of the night. As his faith grew stronger, so did his ability to find rest. For Ahmed, the Quran was no longer just a religious text. It became a source of peace and tranquility, calming his mind and guiding him toward restful sleep. Story of a modern-day struggle. Take the story of Amina, a mother who has just lost her husband to illness. The pain of loss seemed unbearable, and for months she struggled to sleep. Every night she would lie awake, her mind racing with grief and sorrow. The emptiness she felt without him by her side was overwhelming. But one night, after weeks of restless nights, she happened to listen to a lecture about the comfort of trusting Allah's plan. The speaker spoke about how the Qur'an can bring peace during the hardest moments, reminding us that Allah's wisdom is always greater than our pain. Inspired by this, Amina began praying more consistently. She started reciting verses from the Qur'an, especially those that reminded her of Allah's mercy, such as Surah At-Tawbah 9:51. Say, never will we be struck except by what Allah has decreed for us. He is our protector, and upon Allah let the believers rely. Slowly, her heart began to heal. She found comfort in the remembrance of Allah, and over time, she felt a sense of peace she never thought possible. The pain of loss didn't disappear, but with her renewed faith, Amina discovered that peace comes not by erasing our struggles, but by trusting that Allah is with us through them. Have you experienced a personal loss or challenge that made sleep impossible? How did you overcome it? We want to hear your stories of how faith helped you through hard times. Real story. Amina's journey of healing was a testament to the power of faith in the Qur'an. After her husband's passing, she often found herself overwhelmed by grief. There were nights when the silence of her empty home was deafening and sleep would never come. But as she began to integrate prayer and Quranic recitation into her daily routine, her anxiety started to lessen. The verses she recited gave her the strength to accept her loss and trust that Allah had a plan, even when it was hard to understand. The turning point came one evening as she recited Surah Al-Baqarah 2:286. Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. It was a verse she had heard many times, but that night it resonated with her on a deeper level. Amina realized that her pain was not a burden Allah had placed on her without purpose, but a challenge she could endure with His help. Her nightly routine now included moments of quiet reflection, allowing her to feel connected to Allah's mercy. This practice gradually brought her peace, helping her to heal in ways she had never imagined. Through her trust in Allah and the Qur'an, Amina found the comfort and rest she so desperately needed. Practical advice: how to use Quranic verses for peace. If you're feeling anxious or restless, here's a powerful practice. Before you sleep, choose a verse from the Qur'an that resonates with you. It could be from Surah Al-Duha 93:4, which reminds us that after hardship comes ease, and your Lord is going to give you and you will be satisfied. Recite it softly, reflect on its meaning, and let it settle in your heart. This practice not only calms the mind, but also strengthens your faith in Allah's mercy. When we face challenges, the Qur'an offers us comfort, reminding us that nothing lasts forever, and that after every hardship, there is ease. By reflecting on these verses, we shift our focus from worry to trust in Allah's plan. This simple act of reciting and reflecting allows us to release the stress of the day, quiet our minds, and prepare ourselves for peaceful sleep. As we connect to Allah's words, we also reconnect with the peace that only He can provide. Making this practice a nightly routine can help us build a deeper connection to the Qur'an, and over time, we begin to feel a sense of calm that transcends the anxieties of the world around us. The Qur'an isn't just a book of rules and teachings. It is a source of peace and comfort, especially when we need it most. Try this tonight. Choose a verse that speaks to your heart. Let us know how it goes. What's a verse you turn to when you're feeling overwhelmed? Real story. Meet Omar, a teenager in his final year of school. The pressure of exams, the fear of failure, and the uncertainty of the future had taken a toll on his sleep. Each night, he would lie awake, his mind racing with worries about his grades, his future, and his ability to live up to expectations. One evening, his older sister suggested that he recite Surah Al-Baqarah 2:286 before bed, a verse that reminds us that Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. Though skeptical at first, Omar decided to give it a try. That night, after a long day of studying, he sat quietly and recited the verse. As he reflected on its meaning, a sense of calm began to wash over him. He realized that despite the pressure, he was not alone. Allah knew his struggles and would not burden him beyond his capacity. This thought gave him the peace he desperately needed. Omar continued this practice every night leading up to his exams. The recitation of the verse became a comforting ritual, helping him calm his anxious thoughts and regain his focus. When the day of his exams arrived, Omar was no longer overwhelmed by stress. He felt a sense of peace that allowed him to perform to the best of his ability. His faith in Allah and his connection to the Qur'an had given him the inner strength to face the challenges of his exams with calm and confidence. The power of prayer and reflection. One of the best ways to find peace before sleep is through prayer. When we pray, we not only seek help from Allah, but also take a moment to reflect on our blessings. Our prayers allow us to pause and connect with the divine, to acknowledge His mercy, and to seek His protection from anything that troubles us. In Surah An-Nas 114, we seek refuge from the whispers of darkness, those feelings of fear and uncertainty that often plague us in the quiet of the night. The verse says, "Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind, from the evil of the whisperer who withdraws." This verse is a powerful reminder that no matter what fears or anxieties haunt us, Allah is always there to protect us. When we feel overwhelmed or restless, our prayer and supplication remind us that we are not alone. Through prayer, we invite peace into our hearts, knowing that Allah is in control of everything. The simple act of reaching out to Allah before sleep can quiet our minds and fill our hearts with tranquility. In these moments of reflection, we also take the time to be thankful for the blessings in our lives, knowing that gratitude is one of the quickest ways to bring peace to our hearts. What do you do before sleep to calm your mind? Let's share tips on how we can all sleep better with peace in our hearts. Real story. Zainab had struggled with depression for years. The weight of her sadness seemed to intensify as night approached, and sleep became an impossible task. Her mind raced with negative thoughts, and every attempt to quiet her anxiety only made it worse. Over time, this sleeplessness began to affect her health and her relationships. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, she decided to turn to her faith for relief. She remembered a conversation with a friend who suggested reciting Surah An-Nas before sleep to seek Allah's protection from the whispers of negativity. That night, Zainab prayed and recited the surah with full attention. She sought refuge in Allah from the feelings of fear and despair that had plagued her for so long. As she finished her prayer, something remarkable happened. She felt a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in months. It wasn't an immediate fix, but the act of reaching out to Allah and placing her trust in Him gave her a feeling of security. Over the following weeks, Zainab began incorporating regular prayers and Quranic recitations into her nightly routine. Slowly but surely, she started to experience better sleep, less anxiety, and a more peaceful state of mind. The darkness that had once felt so overwhelming was now softened by her faith and reflection. Zainab's journey wasn't without challenges, but with consistent prayer and reflection on Allah's words, she was able to find the peace she had been searching for. The power of prayer and Quranic recitation became her refuge, allowing her to reclaim her peace and find rest, even in the midst of difficult times. The role of trust in Allah. Trusting Allah is the key to finding peace. In times of uncertainty, trusting that Allah's plan is greater than ours can be incredibly liberating. When we surrender to His will, it takes away the burden of trying to control everything around us. One powerful example of this trust is the story of Prophet Abraham, and his willingness to sacrifice his son, Ishmael. Allah commanded Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his beloved son, a test that seemed unimaginable to most. Yet, Ibrahim's trust in Allah's plan was unwavering. Despite the immense emotional and physical challenge of such a sacrifice, his faith in Allah's wisdom and mercy brought him peace. In Surah As-Safat 37:102, Allah says, "And when he reached with him the age of work, he said, 'O my son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So see what you think.' He said, 'O my father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, of the steadfast.'" This moment exemplifies the ultimate trust in Allah. Ibrahim's willingness to follow Allah's command, despite the difficulty and the grief it caused him, is a profound testament to his unwavering faith. And Allah, in turn, rewarded him for this trust by replacing Ismail with a ram to be sacrificed instead. The peace that Ibrahim found in his obedience to Allah is a powerful reminder that when we trust in Allah's plan, no matter how challenging the journey, we will find peace and fulfillment. How does trusting Allah bring you peace during tough times? Let's talk about the power of trust in Allah. Share your thoughts in the comments. Real story. Fariha, a mother of 3, had always prided herself on being in control of her life. But when her husband lost his job during an economic downturn, she found herself facing a mountain of uncertainty. The financial strain, coupled with the fear of not being able to provide for her children, caused her to lose sleep. Every night, her mind raced with worries about the future, and the pressure felt suffocating. One evening, as she sat in prayer, she reflected on the story of Prophet Ibrahim and his trust in Allah during his trial. The thought that Allah had commanded Ibrahim to make such a difficult sacrifice, yet had rewarded him for his trust, struck her deeply. She realized that, like Ibrahim, she was facing a test, and although it seemed daunting, she had to place her full trust in Allah's plan. Fariha began to make it a habit to pray regularly and ask Allah for patience and strength, trusting that He would guide her through the difficult times. Gradually, she began to feel a sense of relief. While her circumstances had not changed overnight, her perspective shifted. She found peace in knowing that she was not alone and that Allah was in control. With her faith in Allah's wisdom, Fariha was able to face each day with a renewed sense of hope and trust, allowing her to find peace despite the uncertainty.